OnePlus 9 RT review, one of the fastest phones around while also boasting great software. Last year, OnePlus revealed a new strategy. It revealed that it was merging its operations with Oppo and its operating system, OxygenOS, would merge with the Color OS codebase. This also meant that there was no T edition of its phone in the pipeline for 2021. However, that didn't mean the end of the line for the T series of phones. In 2021, it also launched 3 flagship-grade phones instead of 2, the third one being the OnePlus 9R. Now, the 9R is the one that is getting the T treatment, but it also comes at a time when OnePlus has announced the bold new OnePlus 10 Pro for the Chinese market. Everything about this launch is strange, but considering the price point and the updates, it sure does make for an interesting phone, as even its rivals, Samsung and Xiaomi, are following a similar pattern. Samsung has the Galaxy S21 FE, while Xiaomi has the 11T Pro. On paper, the OnePlus 9 RT seems more like an update to the OnePlus 9 sans the Hasselblad branding. While not as boring as the Galaxy S21 FE, it also isn't as exciting as Xiaomi's 11T Pro. But it sure does stick to the tried and tested OnePlus formula, which could make it a great phone for enthusiasts and folks looking for a reliable gadget without a doubt. Design and build. It however remains pretty slim for its segment at 8.3mm and relatively light at 198.5 grams for a phone with a 6.62 inches panel. But again, this phone lacks any kind of water or dust resistance, which is disappointing as many devices have started to offer that nicety in the segment. Considering the glass back, some may have expected wireless charging, but also has been skipped, though as always it does come with OnePlus's effervescent Warp Charge 65W charger. More on that later. OnePlus has not veered away from its standard design language. The OnePlus 9 RT builds on the foundations of the OnePlus 9R, which was largely based on the OnePlus 8 series. Sure, the camera module has changed, and in my humble opinion feels a little more cutting-edge with the triple camera setup. It also looks extremely slick in the stealthy Hacker Black version which I received. The matte finish makes things look really attractive but in a subtle way, but overall, this is a very standard issue design language. It is ergonomic for a phone of its size, given the large screen, but it doesn't bring anything new to the table. The screen is bright and vivid, to say the least. It gets Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the front, which is nice to have indeed, though also not the latest Victus cover glass as per the Galaxy S21 FE. This phone retains the fast and smooth mantra that OnePlus has been boasting about for almost now a decade, thanks to its 120Hz refresh rate, which can be manually ramped down to 60Hz. It also gets an extremely rapid 380Hz touch sampling rate, something we first experienced in the OnePlus 9 Pro last year, but additionally, for gamers, there is a 600Hz touch sampling rate that gets activated in certain games. As for watching content on the device, it is up to the mark. It supports HDR10+ video, which shines through on this panel. I watched a bunch of content including the Netflix hit Ozark, some sports with the Australian Open going on, and even Marvel's Eternals. The experience was stellar, backed up with the addition of stereo speakers that were relatively loud. The display is also home to the optical fingerprint scanner, which was largely reliable and lightning fast when it came down to unlocking the phone. The phone also gets a rudimentary face unlock system which works with the solo front-facing camera. You also get a delightful haptic motor which makes typing a very pleasant experience. So much so, a large part of this review was written on the 9RT in Google Docs. Fundamentally, the OnePlus 9 RT has the same package as the OnePlus 9 Pro. It has Qualcomm's Snapdragon 888 chipset, coupled with 12GB RAM and 256GB UFS 3.1 storage. This alone is a lethal package in terms of performance, but OnePlus upgraded it with a new vapor chamber to better manage heat dissipation and sustained performance. The OnePlus 9 RT comes with a triple camera array which includes the 50MP Sony IMX766 from the Pro model as its main shooter. However, on paper this is an inferior setup, as on the Pro, the 766 was used for the ultrawide lens which gets a much more mundane 16MP sensor this time around. It also doesn't get the Hasselblad tuning, and there is no telephoto capability as the third sensor is a 2MP macro lens. On paper, this may seem like a pedestrian setup, but is still a very versatile camera system that will perform well in most situations and at times can even be sublime. The camera UI has been more or less borrowed from Oppo, which is natural thanks to the merger with Oppo. It lacks the Hasselblad camera app, which wasn't great shakes anyway. The photos captured from the main camera are typified with almost a pixel-like contrast-heavy look with a bluish tinge and replete with tons of dynamic range. Generally, whenever given good light, the 9RT takes attractive photos. Even in low light, it is no slouch. It takes bright photos even without night mode, and when the night mode is activated it does surprisingly well in recovering blur-free snaps. It also gets a decent portrait mode, which is highly usable as now it gets pretty reliable edge detection. One can also modulate the amount of bokeh on the camera, which also helps with more realistic portrait shots. At best it can shoot at 4K at 60 fps, but it is best used at 4K at 30 fps, which provides a nice blend between resolution, brightness and frame rate. The video largely is quite steady, making it again highly usable, rounding off the round capabilities of this camera system. OnePlus has also improved the microphones, which means if you're recording video which has loud audio, the capture will be quite usable. This has been an area where across-the-board Android phones have improved when compared to the iPhone. As is the case with many OnePlus devices, this phone also is excellent with the Google Camera Mod and ends up taking better shots all around. This comes with the caveat of getting a stable build of the app. For most people, this will not be needed as the stock camera app is excellent on its own accord. Another area of weakness is the selfie camera, which takes washed-out selfies and is rather only uplifted with the Google Camera app. The OnePlus 9RT comes with a 4500 mAh battery, which can be charged with the Warp Charge 65T charger, which can fully top up this phone in just over 30 minutes. This always has been a hallmark of OnePlus devices, but come 2022, this is just about above average. The reason is that Xiaomi has introduced its devastating 120W hypercharge technology, which can fully top a Xiaomi 11T Pro, which has a larger 5000 mAh battery in 17 minutes. But regardless, many, especially someone upgrading from a phone that's more than 2 years old or perhaps an iPhone, would find this a substantial update. This is one of the first phones that OnePlus has launched after merging operations with Oppo. It features the latest edition of OxygenOS, which leverages the unified codebase with Oppo's Color OS. All of this, however, is based on the dated Android 11, but hold on a second, this is a good thing. Google has been having a ton of issues with stability on Android 12, even on its Pixel 6 smartphones, and most manufacturers who have deployed updates have struggled, including OnePlus. The OnePlus 9RT is available in two variants, 8 128GB and 12 256GB in two colors, Nano Silver and Hacker Black. The two start at 42,999 rupees, around £430, and 46,999 rupees, around £470, and are available via oneplus.in and amazon.in. The OnePlus 9RT as of now is neither coming to the UK nor the US and remains exclusive for India. A version of the phone was even launched in China. The phone has stiff competition from the Xiaomi 11T Pro in India, and some people can also consider the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE, which starts at 54,999 rupees for the base model.